Captain Elias Ward had spent most of his life exploring planets humans had never set foot on. He had walked through deserts that burned under twin suns, floated in oceans with colors he could not name, and seen skies painted with storms that moved like living creatures. But none of that prepared him for the day he first encountered the planet Viridia 7, a world covered in dense forests and glowing flora. The planet seemed quiet at first. Thick fog hung between the towering trees and the ground was soft with moss that cushioned every step. Elias led a small team of researchers through the forest. Their mission was simple: study the planet's native life forms and return with data that could help Earth understand alien ecosystems. Yet, as Elias had learned through years of exploration, simplicity was often an illusion. The team stopped near a clearing where strange, luminous plants grew. Small orbs of light floated around, pulsing gently like tiny stars. It was beautiful, but Elias's attention was drawn to the sound of faint chirping. Kneeling down, he parted some glowing vines and found a nest containing several small creatures, unlike anything he had ever seen. They were about the size of a human toddler, with soft, translucent skin that shimmered in shades of green and blue. Their eyes, large and liquid, reflected curiosity and fear at the same time. "These must be hatchlings," whispered Dr. Lena Chen, the team's biologist. "I've never seen anything like them. Look at the patterns on their skin, they almost glow from within." Elias's heart softened. He had always loved discovering life. But there was something about these fragile beings that made him instinctively protective. He crouched near the nest, careful not to disturb them. Suddenly, the forest went silent. The wind stopped. The floating lights paused mid-air. Elias's instinct screamed danger before his eyes could even see it. Then from the shadow of the trees, a massive predator emerged. Its 6 limbs moved with unnatural speed, and its mandibles clicked as it approached the nest. Its eyes, black as night, were fixed on the hatchlings. "Back! Everyone back!" Elias shouted, drawing his team behind him. But he didn't move himself. Without thinking, Elias stepped in front of the nest. The predator lunged. He rolled to the side, grabbing a fallen branch to fend it off. The creature's strength was terrifying, far beyond anything human. It struck, and Elias barely managed to dodge. He realized then that if the hatchlings were left unprotected, they would not survive. Elias did the only thing he could. He threw himself between the predator and the nest, bracing for impact. The creature roared, a sound that shook the forest like a thunderclap. It lunged again, but something strange happened. The predator paused, its head tilting as if studying him. Elias didn't move, didn't breathe too loudly. He simply stood his ground. Then, almost as quickly as it had appeared, the predator turned and retreated into the forest. Elias exhaled, a hand pressed to his chest as his heart raced. Dr. Chen knelt beside him. "Captain, are you okay?" she asked, voice trembling. I think so," he said, glancing back at the nest. The hatchlings were unharmed, their small bodies quivering but safe. Elias felt a surge of relief. He had protected them. Then the forest moved again. This time it was not the predator. From between the trees a new figure emerged, larger, more graceful and commanding. She had iridescent skin that shimmered in gold and green, and eyes that glowed softly like lanterns in the dark. Her long limbs moved fluidly, almost as if she were floating. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. The alien stopped a few meters away, studying him. There was no anger in her gaze, only intensity and caution. Elias slowly raised his hands, showing he meant no harm. The alien mother, he assumed she was the mother, tilted her head, her large eyes never leaving him. Elias noticed the way her body was tense, every muscle coiled as if ready to strike or flee. He realized she was trying to decide if he was a threat. "Stay calm," he whispered to his team. "We're not here to hurt her," the hatchlings chirped, moving toward her. Elias watched as the mother lowered her head, touching them gently. Her eyes flicked to him, studying his face. In that moment, Elias felt something shift. The alien had seen his act of bravery. Somehow she understood he had protected her young. Days passed, and Elias noticed that the mother did not leave. She stayed at the edge of the clearing, always watching, always alert. The team tried to keep their distance, respecting her space, but she made it clear she would not separate from him. Whenever he moved, she followed, silent and careful. Elias was cautious. He had never encountered an alien who bonded so quickly with a human. He wondered if this was instinct, intelligence, or something else entirely. He also felt a strange sense of responsibility. The bond was unspoken, but it was powerful. The team continued their work, mapping the forest and studying the alien species. They learned that the mother, whom Elias named Leora in his log, was incredibly intelligent. She seemed to understand danger, cooperation, and even curiosity. She mimicked some of their gestures, learned quickly, and often anticipated where they would go next. One evening, as the team gathered around their campfire, a distant roar echoed through the trees. Leora instantly rose, alert and protective. Elias noticed her stance was defensive, her glowing eyes scanning the darkness. When the roar came again, he realized that other predators were attracted to the hatchlings. Leora moved closer to him, a silent signal that they needed to be ready. Elias felt a strange bond growing between them. He had protected her children, and she had recognized that. Now it seemed she was protecting him. The humans were witnessing something extraordinary, a connection between species built on trust, courage, and empathy. By the end of the week, Elias had become more than an explorer. He had become a guardian not just for the hatchlings but for their mother as well. Leora refused to leave his side, following him silently as he walked through the forest, her presence both reassuring and awe-inspiring. Elias understood one thing clearly. On Viridia 7, humans were not just visitors. They had a chance to forge bonds with life forms beyond imagination, and in this moment, the bond between him and Leora was the first step toward a new understanding, one where courage and compassion could cross even the vastest divides of species. As night fell, the forest glowed softly with the light of the floating orbs. Elias sat near the nest, Leora beside him watching over the hatchlings. For the first time in his life, he felt the weight and wonder of true connection. He realized that this was just the beginning. Tomorrow he would explore further. Tomorrow they would face challenges no human had ever faced before. But tonight, he allowed himself a moment of peace, knowing that in protecting the young he had earned a guardian of his own, and Leora, the alien mother, would not let him go. The days on Viridia 7 passed in a strange rhythm. Elias had expected challenges, but nothing had prepared him for the deepening bond he shared with Leora, the alien mother. She never left his side. Whenever he walked through the thick forest, her tall, shimmering form followed silently behind him. At first, Elias had been cautious, unsure whether she might attack or flee. But over time, he realized that her presence was protective, almost as if she had accepted him as part of her family. Elias often found himself observing her more than the forest itself. Her skin reflected the sunlight in mesmerizing shades of green and gold. Her movements were graceful, like a dancer gliding over the forest floor. Yet her eyes were always alert, scanning for any signs of danger. The hatchlings chirped around them, and she watched over them like a sentinel, ever vigilant, her protective instincts unwavering. Dr. Lena Chen approached Elias one morning. "Captain, I don't know if you realize this, but Leora is learning from you," she said, pointing toward the mother alien. Elias turned to see Leora carefully mimicking the way he measured plant samples, tilting her head as she studied the small scanner in his hand. "She watches our every move. She's curious, intelligent, and observant. I think she's learning human methods of problem-solving." Elias nodded slowly. "It's remarkable," he said. "It's not just instinct. She's capable of understanding patterns, anticipating outcomes. I've never seen an alien species learn so fast." The team soon began noticing other surprising behaviors. Leora seemed to sense danger before it happened. If a tree branch snapped in the distance or if a shadow moved unnaturally, she would step in front of the hatchlings, her body tense, ready to defend. The humans realized that her loyalty to Elias extended to them as well. She might not understand human language fully, but she understood trust, courage, and protection. One afternoon, while exploring a narrow canyon filled with glowing crystals, Elias stumbled on a slippery rock and nearly fell into a deep crevice. Instantly, Leora darted forward, her long limbs stretching to catch him before he could fall. He landed safely on solid ground, heart racing. Leora's glowing eyes met his, and for a moment Elias felt a strange warmth. She had not only saved the hatchlings, now she was protecting him with the same intensity. The team set up a temporary camp near a small river. They had to record data, recharge equipment, and plan their next steps. Leora spent most of her time close to Elias, but she would occasionally wander a few meters away, observing the surroundings. Elias noticed how she communicated with the hatchlings, through soft clicks and gestures. It was clear that she taught them survival skills just as a human mother would. At night, when the team gathered around the campfire, Leora would sit nearby, almost blending into the shadows. She never interfered, but her presence was unmistakable. Elias found himself talking to her, as if she could understand his words. "We're safe here, Leora, I promise," he said one evening, stroking a hatchling gently. She tilted her head, her eyes reflecting the firelight. Elias smiled softly. "You trust me, don't you?" Leora's quiet stillness felt like an answer. However, the forest was not without its dangers. Smaller predators began to appear near the camp. Attracted by the unusual activity, Leora's instincts were immediately alert. She would stand at the edge of the clearing, her body coiled, ready to strike at any moment. Elias realized that they were witnessing a unique partnership, human intelligence combined with alien instinct. "Captain," Dr. Chen said, her voice urgent one morning. "Look at her. She's analyzing that predator. She's studying its movements, its patterns. It's almost like she's learning our strategy techniques." Elias watched Leora crouch low, tail swishing in rhythm with her thoughts, eyes fixed on a nearby creature. Suddenly she lunged with astonishing speed, scaring it away without harming it. The team gasped. Elias felt a rush of pride and awe. The days turned into weeks, and the bond between Elias and Leora grew stronger. She began following his routines, understanding when he needed rest and even anticipating his actions during exploration. If he paused to observe a plant or animal, she would mirror his movements, silent but attentive. The humans could see the intelligence in her eyes. This was not a simple predator. This was a being capable of thought, emotion, and loyalty. One day, while exploring deeper into the forest, Elias stumbled upon a strange formation, a hollowed-out area where the trees formed natural arches. Inside, he found traces of other alien creatures, some of them larger and more dangerous. He signaled the team to proceed carefully. Leora, as always, moved ahead, her senses sharper than any human's. She guided them safely through, alerting them to hidden dangers. "That's incredible," whispered Dr. Chen. "She's not just protecting us, she's leading us. She understands the environment better than we ever could." Elias nodded, watching Leora move with silent precision. He realized that she had become more than a protector. She had become a teacher. She was showing them how to survive on this strange, glowing planet. The bond was tested one evening when a strange storm rolled in. Thick clouds swirled and rain fell in sheets, turning the forest floor into a slippery, dangerous maze. The hatchlings panicked, chirping loudly. Elias rushed to gather them, but the mud made movement slow and treacherous. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning struck nearby, and a tree began to topple toward the group. In a flash, Leora darted forward, pushing the hatchlings out of harm's way and placing herself between Elias and the falling tree. Her strength was astonishing, and her reflexes were faster than anything the humans could match. Elias grabbed her arm just in time, steadying himself. They watched as the tree crashed to the ground with a thunderous boom. When the storm cleared, Elias realized that their relationship had changed completely. He was no longer just a protector of alien life. He was part of a family that transcended species. Leora had saved him as much as he had saved her hatchlings. The team gathered around, soaked and exhausted but safe. Leora stayed close to Elias, her eyes reflecting relief and trust. The next morning, as the sun rose through the mist, Elias sat by the river, hatchlings playing around him. Leora rested nearby, watching every movement, always attentive. Elias looked at her, understanding fully that their bond was now unbreakable. He spoke softly, as if sharing a secret. "We'll face challenges together. Leora, I promise we'll protect your family." She responded with a quiet, almost human-like gesture, brushing a limb gently against his arm. It was a strange, beautiful partnership. Humans had always relied on technology and strategy, but here on Viridia 7, Elias had learned a new lesson. Courage, empathy, and mutual trust could build bridges stronger than any machine. Leora had chosen him as her ally, her companion, and her protector. In turn, Elias had pledged his life to her and her young. Elias could not predict what the future held. The forest was full of unseen dangers, and other species might not be as kind or intelligent as Leora. Yet he felt hope. The bond between human and alien had proven that understanding and trust were possible, even across worlds. As night fell, and the floating lights of the forest glowed softly, Elias sat quietly. Leora curled beside the hatchlings, keeping watch. The bond they had formed was no longer fragile, it was a force of its own. Together they would face the unknown, stronger than any predator, more resilient than any storm. For Elias, the realization was clear. In protecting life, he had earned a companion who would not let him go. And in that silent understanding, the humans and aliens found the beginning of something extraordinary, a partnership that would test courage, loyalty, and the very meaning of family on a planet far from home. Viridia 7, for all its beauty and mystery, was not as safe as Elias and his team had hoped. The forest, glowing softly with strange flora, hid dangers that the human mind could scarcely imagine. Small predators were only the beginning. Elias had long suspected that something more intelligent lurked beyond the familiar paths. One morning, while the team was gathering samples near a crystal-filled ravine, a distant hum echoed through the forest. The sound was mechanical, sharp, and unlike anything natural. Elias froze. His instincts screamed caution. Leora, ever alert, stiffened beside him. Her iridescent skin bristled slightly and her glowing eyes narrowed. She moved closer to the hatchlings, forming a protective shield around them. Dr. Chen looked at Elias with concern. "Captain, I don't think that's a natural sound. It feels deliberate." Elias nodded. "Keep calm. Everyone, stay close. Leora will guide us if we need to move quickly." The source of the hum became clearer as minutes passed. Through the trees, the humans saw them. Heavily armored vehicles moving slowly but deliberately through the forest. The vehicles carried weapons, and aboard them were humans, not from their team, but a group of interstellar poachers. They had learned about Viridia 7 and its unique species and were here to capture Leora and her hatchlings for profit. Elias's heart sank. He had known Earth was far from perfect, but the idea that humans could harm life on another world for greed made him furious. "They won't take them," he said firmly, glancing at Leora. "We'll stop them." Leora seemed to understand immediately. She hissed softly, her body tensing as if reading Elias's determination. It was not fear she felt, it was resolve. The humans realized something astonishing. She had bonded with Elias so completely that she shared his instincts and his sense of purpose. Together, they were more than just protector and protected, they were partners. The poachers were methodical. They had tracked the hatchlings' movements and now approached the nest with mechanical precision. Elias and his team scrambled, trying to find cover behind rocks and trees. Leora, however, did not hide. She stepped forward, her massive form casting a shadow that seemed to fill the clearing. The poachers hesitated, unsure how to handle a creature of such size and intelligence. Elias whispered to his team, "We use the terrain. Leora can distract them. Watch her signals and move with her." The humans had never seen an alien so intelligent in action. Leora began to circle the poachers, her movements fluid and deliberate. She let out a series of clicks and growls, communicating with the hatchlings while simultaneously confusing the intruders. The poachers fired small, non-lethal weapons, but Leora dodged effortlessly, moving with speed and agility far beyond human capability. Elias realized that the partnership between human and alien was becoming tactical. Leora's instincts, combined with Elias's strategic thinking, gave them an advantage that no poacher could anticipate. He signaled the team to flank the poachers, using the forest's terrain for cover. Leora mirrored his gestures, stepping back or forward in perfect synchronization. Together they were a unit, human and alien moving as one. One of the poachers made a mistake, approaching the hatchlings directly. Leora lunged with incredible speed, her limbs striking the ground so hard that the poacher was thrown backward. Elias ran forward, grabbing the hatchlings and moving them to safety. Leora followed, ensuring no one could follow without facing her formidable presence. As the poachers regrouped, Elias took a deep breath. "We can't just run. We need to outsmart them. Leora, follow my lead." He led the team deeper into the forest toward a series of natural tunnels and arches he had noticed earlier. Leora guided them, her glowing eyes scanning for ambushes and traps. The poachers pursued, but the humans' understanding of the terrain, combined with Leora's instincts, gave them the upper hand. Elias set small non-lethal traps, nets and snares made from vines and mechanical components to slow the poachers down. Leora helped, her strength bending trees and moving obstacles into the perfect positions. During the chase, One poacher attempted to capture a hatchling by throwing a net. Leora reacted instantly. She leapt with precision, intercepting the net midair and tearing it apart with her powerful limbs. Elias breathed heavily, amazed at her intelligence and coordination. It was clear that this was more than instinct. It was learning, adaptation, and cooperation. Eventually, the humans and Leora led the poachers into a narrow canyon. The walls were steep and the terrain made it impossible for the vehicles to follow. Elias and his team, using Leora's guidance, created barricades using fallen logs and rocks. The poachers were trapped, frustrated, and unable to proceed. Leora growled softly, her body coiled and ready for any sudden movements. Elias approached the nearest poacher cautiously. "You will leave this place," he said firmly. "We are not your prey. These creatures are not yours to take." The poacher laughed, dismissive. "You think a single alien can stop us? You don't understand the value here. This is priceless." Leora stepped closer, her size imposing, her eyes glowing brighter. She clicked softly, a sound that seemed to resonate with authority. The poacher hesitated, sensing something beyond human logic. Elias realized that Leora's presence alone was a deterrent. She was more than a protector. She was a guardian capable of influencing outcomes without violence. The poachers, recognizing the situation was unwinnable, retreated. Their vehicles rumbled backward and the hum of engines faded into the forest. Elias exhaled slowly, relief washing over him. Leora returned to the hatchlings, curling protectively around them. The humans approached cautiously, unsure how to interact after witnessing such intelligence and coordination. Dr. Chen looked at Elias in awe. "Captain, that was incredible. She understood strategy, followed your instructions, and protected the hatchlings. This isn't just bonding, this is teamwork across species." Elias nodded. "Yes, and it's more than that. We've formed trust. She trusts me, and I trust her. Together, we're stronger than any threat that comes to this forest." The next days were spent securing the area and observing Leora's interactions with the hatchlings. The humans realized that she was teaching them more than survival skills. She was teaching them patience, observation, and empathy. Every time the hatchlings approached her, she responded with care, guiding them gently but firmly. And every time Elias interacted with her, their understanding grew deeper, unspoken yet profound. Elias often reflected on how remarkable this bond was. In all his years of exploration, he had never seen a connection between species like this. Humans relied on technology, weapons, and planning. But Leora taught him that courage, empathy, and instinct were just as powerful, sometimes more so. She had trusted him after he protected her children, and he had trusted her to guide them through danger. One evening, as the sun set through the forest canopy, Elias sat near the nest, hatchlings playing around him. Leora crouched nearby, watching the shadows, ensuring no danger approached. He looked at her, understanding the full weight of their partnership. "We've been tested," he said quietly, "and we passed. But I have a feeling this is only the beginning. There are greater challenges ahead and we'll face them together." Leora tilted her head, her glowing eyes meeting his. The gesture was simple, but Elias understood it fully. It was an agreement, a promise of loyalty and protection. Together, human and alien, they had created a bond that no poacher, predator, or unknown danger could easily break. In the quiet of the forest, Elias realized that humanity's true strength was not in its weapons or technology. It was in courage, compassion, and the ability to form bonds even in the most alien of circumstances. Leora and the hatchlings had become part of something greater than survival. They were part of a new family, one that defied boundaries and proved that trust and courage could build bridges across worlds. And as night fell, the glowing forest of Viridia 7 seemed to shine a little brighter. Elias knew that their challenges were far from over, but with Leora by his side, he felt ready to face whatever the unknown might bring. The forest of Viridia 7 was alive with movement. Even in the early hours of the morning, faint rustling of leaves hinted at unseen life. Captain Elias Ward and his team had learned quickly. Survival on this planet required more than courage. It required creativity, adaptability, and an understanding of the alien environment. After the encounter with the poachers, Elias knew they could not remain passive. Their safety depended on preparation, and he had the perfect ally in Leora. The alien mother was not just protective. She was intelligent, strategic and instinctively aware of danger. Elias realized that by combining human planning with Leora's instinct, they could create a defense stronger than any technology the poachers possessed. The team set to work. They reinforced the nest area using natural materials, thick vines, heavy logs, and clever barriers that could slow or redirect intruders. Leora helped instinctively, moving massive branches with ease and arranging them in positions that maximized cover while allowing escape routes. She worked silently, following Elias's instructions and sometimes initiating her own strategies. Dr. Chen observed her in awe. "Captain, she's remarkable. She understands our plan, but she also improves it. It's like she can anticipate threats before they even happen." Elias nodded. "That's what makes her unique. She's not just strong, she's intelligent. And together we're going to make sure no one harms her hatchlings or us." The humans began integrating technology carefully, combining sensors, alarms, and non-lethal deterrents. Motion sensors were hidden among the trees, cameras disguised as glowing plants, and nets ready to be triggered from a distance. Leora seemed to understand these innovations instantly, positioning herself strategically during tests and even signaling humans when a sensor might be ineffective. One afternoon, as Elias and Leora patrolled the perimeter, they encountered a small predator attempting to sneak toward the hatchlings. Elias motioned for her to hold back. Leora tilted her head, hesitated, then moved in precise coordination with Elias. Using a simple diversion and her own formidable speed, she redirected the creature away without harming it. The team cheered quietly from behind the trees. It was proof that alien instinct, guided by human strategy, could outmatch any threat. But it was not just about defense. It was also about communication and coordination. Elias devised a series of signals, hand gestures, sounds, and simple markers that Leora could recognize. She responded perfectly, learning quickly to guide humans, protect the hatchlings, and anticipate danger. In return, she taught the humans about the forest, the safe paths, the hidden dangers, and the creatures that could be allies rather than threats. Then came the day of the poachers' return. Their arrival was sudden, and the team barely had time to prepare. Leora's glowing eyes narrowed as she assessed the intruders. Elias signaled the team to stay calm and follow her lead. They moved silently through the forest, using the barriers, traps, and natural cover they had set up. The poachers were aggressive, expecting an easy capture. Instead, they faced a carefully orchestrated defense. Nets fell from hidden branches. Alarms alerted the team to movement, and Leora moved with unmatched precision, intercepting anyone who approached the hatchlings. The humans coordinated perfectly with her, following her signals and anticipating her moves. Together, they became a force unlike anything the poachers had ever encountered. One poacher tried to reach the hatchlings directly. Leora reacted instantly, placing herself between the poacher and the young. Elias fired a non-lethal immobilizer, and the poacher was quickly subdued. Other intruders attempted flanking maneuvers, only to encounter hidden snares and carefully placed logs. Leora moved gracefully, guiding the humans and confusing the intruders with her agility. In the chaos, Elias noticed a shift in Leora's behavior. She was no longer simply defending. She was leading. Her instincts and intelligence combined with human strategy, making her a commander in her own right. The humans followed her guidance seamlessly, reacting to her gestures, clicks, and movements. It was a bond of trust and understanding that transcended words. After hours of careful defense, the poachers retreated once more. The team gathered near the nest, exhausted but safe. Leora curled protectively around the hatchlings, her eyes glowing softly in relief. Elias knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shimmering arm. "We did it," he whispered. "Together, we're stronger than anything that comes here." The event cemented their understanding. Human ingenuity and alien instinct, when combined, created a partnership capable of defending life against any threat. Leora was more than a creature, they were allies, a family forged through courage, trust, and respect. As night fell, Elias reflected on the lessons of the day. Humans often relied on weapons and technology. But here, strategy, empathy, and instinct proved more powerful. Leora and the hatchlings were no longer just a scientific curiosity. They were a reminder that true strength came from connection, courage, and collaboration. And in the quiet glow of the forest, Elias knew that this bond would be tested again. Yet he was confident. Together they could face anything. The forest of Viridia 7 woke to a calm morning, the light filtering through the trees in golden beams. Captain Elias Ward watched Leora and her hatchlings playing near the river, their movements fluid and joyful. The recent battles had left scars, but the bond between human and alien had never been stronger. The team had begun documenting everything: the behavior of Leora, her communication with the hatchlings, and the ways they had combined human strategy with alien instinct. Elias understood that this knowledge could change humanity's understanding of life beyond Earth. But more importantly, it had changed him personally. He no longer saw the forest as merely a mission. He saw it as home. Despite the calm, Elias knew vigilance was essential. The poachers might return, or other dangers could emerge from the depths of the alien wilderness. He patrolled the area daily, guided by Leora's instincts. Together they established safe zones, hidden pathways, and signals that allowed humans and aliens to move as one. One morning, as Elias and Leora moved through the forest, they discovered a large clearing filled with strange crystals that hummed softly. The hatchlings were curious, running among the formations, chirping and glowing in response to the light. Elias knelt, observing the patterns. "These crystals might have energy properties," he said. "We could use them to enhance our defenses, or even study them for Earth." Leora tilted her head, seemingly understanding the plan, and guided the hatchlings away from dangerous formations. Days turned into weeks, and the bond between species deepened. The humans learned from Leora about patience, observation, and the importance of instinct in decision-making. Leora, in turn, learned to anticipate human actions and adapt to their strategies. Together, they became a team capable of facing any challenge. Then came the day of reckoning. A new threat emerged, not poachers, but a natural disaster. A massive storm rolled in from the mountains, bringing violent winds, torrential rain, and flooding rivers. Elias knew that the hatchlings and Leora would be vulnerable. Without hesitation, he organized a plan. Leora understood immediately, positioning the hatchlings in safe areas while guiding humans to secure equipment and shelters. The storm raged for hours, but thanks to their preparation, everyone survived. The hatchlings remained safe. Leora protected them relentlessly, and the humans learned the value of combining foresight, planning, and instinct. When the storm passed, the forest was altered, but their bond was stronger than ever. They had faced both human and natural threats and emerged united. Elias realized that the experience had changed him. Humanity's true strength was not in technology or domination. It was in courage, empathy, and connection. He looked at Leora, shimmering in the soft post-storm light, and the hatchlings chirping happily. He understood fully that their survival was now a partnership, a family that transcended species. The humans prepared to leave Viridia 7, documenting everything for future missions. Yet Elias faced a choice: return to Earth or remain with Leora and her young. As he stood at the edge of the forest, Leora approached, her glowing eyes fixed on him. She would not leave without him. In that moment, words were unnecessary. Elias knew that wherever he went, their bond would endure. He knelt, brushing a hand over one of the hatchlings. "We've learned a lot here," he whispered. "But the greatest lesson is that trust, courage, and family are universal." Leora responded with a soft, glowing gesture, curling beside the hatchlings as if agreeing. The team left, but Elias stayed behind, understanding that some connections could not be abandoned. Leora, the alien mother, had chosen him, just as he had chosen to protect her family. Together they watched the sun rise over Viridia 7, ready for whatever the future might bring. Elias reflected on the journey, from the first encounter with the nest to the battles with poachers, the preparation of defenses and surviving the storm. They had proven something extraordinary. Humans were capable of courage and empathy that transcended species. Leora and the hatchlings had shown that intelligence and instinct could complement human ingenuity. And in that quiet, glowing forest, a new era began. One where humans and aliens could work together, protect one another, and create families across worlds. Elias knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy was vast, filled with unknown dangers and wonders. But with courage, trust, and bonds like the one he shared with Leora, humanity had a future that was stronger, braver, and more hopeful than ever before. Together, they had shielded the young, fought against threats, and proven that empathy and courage could build bridges across even the stars. Leora would never let him go, and Elias would never abandon the family they had created. On Viridia 7, humanity and alien life had found a harmony that could inspire generations to come. The forest hummed softly, the hatchlings chirped, and the bond between human and alien shone brighter than any technology, any weapon or any star in the sky.